Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Exodus here. Haven't done a commentary in a while, so I figured I'd put up some old Prison of Elders footage from a couple months ago and just kind of give my thoughts on the upcoming expansion. 2.0 just dropped for Destiny, in preparation for the Taken King. And it's all the craze right now. It's all everyone's talking about. So I just figured I'd go ahead and, share my thoughts on what I'm thinking in regards to the Taken King and how I am officially retired from Destiny at this point and why I, essentially walked away from it. A lot of my reasons are going to be similar to probably a lot of things that you've heard in the past. I'm going to go in detail on some things I'm just going to skim over because, like I said, it's pretty repetitive to other people's reasons. And then some of the reasons are, again, kind of newer, maybe some things people didn't even think about and what have you. You've heard in some of my past commentary videos that were leading up to the House of Wolves expansion, talking about my disdain with some of the Dark Below situation, things that I felt were problematic and that need to be fixed for House of Wolves, and if I didn't see them fixed, then I was going to be done real quick after House of Wolves. And pretty much essentially the only reason why I played Dark Below and House of Wolves was because I bought the season pass at the beginning of the game. When I played the beta, this game seemed, a lot of fun, a lot of potential. I took Bungie and Activision at their word, saying it was only like 10 to 12% of the game that we saw within the beta, last summer. And so, I got hyped. They did an excellent job with their marketing. They did an excellent job selling everybody, what they essentially wanted you to believe. And so when the game came out, before even experiencing much of the vanilla game, I went ahead and bought the season pass because I played Halo and liked it, all the series, and Bungie obviously was behind that. And from what I saw in regards to the beta and how it felt and the potential that I had, I felt that it was worth getting the expansions at the discounted rate in that season pass. And what I didn't know was how much that was actually cut out of the game. I have friends who are in the gaming industry and some that played a build of this game, a couple years ago, and they even said, they were under NDR, so they couldn't say anything. But as of late, I kind of just essentially forced their hand to tell me, what exactly was going on, and it matched up with some of the other people who've leaked information on the internet who said that they were under NDRs in the past, whatever, right? Or NDAs, I should say, non-disclosure agreements, my bad. So anyways, they essentially, even the build that we see in 2.0 that has solidified a lot of the holes and a lot of the cuts that the game had and problems that we had with the game, it's still not up to par with the build that they saw. So that tells me that Bungie and Activision are just considerably still up to their lying, false promising ways and underperforming and underachieving ways to try to maximize their money and their income, their return on investment. And that's a good business practice, to get more money for less work, essentially. And whatever, they're going to capitalize on people's hype because their marketing team is outstanding. They make awesome trailers. They make awesome little, campaign things on their social media to get everybody kind of interested and bought in. And it's just funny how easy it is for people to buy in. And then essentially when the content does come out and it under-delivers, they're bored with it a lot quicker than their 2-month or 3-month hype train leading up to the expansion, the expansion's actual release. It's just crazy because a lot of the YouTubers and big streamers and stuff like that, they get all hyped as soon as the littlest inkling of information is put out there about the next expansion, and then they just ride it up until the expansion actually releases. And when the expansion actually releases, those same people within a week or two are just voicing complaints and voicing how kind of bored they are and already moving on to the next expansion of what they need, or what Bungie, Activision needs to do to fix and improve the game. So why in the world, I don't know. Anyways, that's just a whole nother topic, but it just upsets me that a lot of people buy into those people's opinions Those people obviously got more hands-on with the game than we do prior to the, expansions releasing, and they sell us this false hype, and Bungie sells us this false hype just for a bunch of under-delivered, content. Like Dark Below was an atrocity. Bungie's even, came out and voiced how bad it was themselves and how disappointed they were in the actual release, whether it was in regards to the raid or just the overall content in general. House of Wolves was lackluster, in my opinion. Everybody can agree that Prison of Elders got old extremely fast and didn't provide the randomness and the replayability that was initially expected and promised and talked about. So again, the past is essentially affecting the future for me, so that's why I'm not doing the Taken King. I learned my lesson that I paid a certain price for Dark Below and House of Wolves and felt that I overpaid for the content that I was delivered. And not only does, like with a typical MMO, you have awesome gear that you can take in a new expansion, then essentially it gets replaced. The fact that all of year one gear essentially is useless now with the Taken King, with the exception of a few exotics carrying over, is just ludicrous to me. Because I understand moving forward, getting new gear, wanting to chase new stuff, which is awesome, but based on the past, they have yet to show me that that's actually going to be worthwhile, because all the gear in Dark Below's expansion in comparison to Vanilla's gear, and all the gear in the House of Wolves in comparison to the Dark Below or Vanilla's gear was all subpar, lackluster, not an upgrade, with the exception of a few from the Dark Below in regards to the Vanilla, such as the Black Hammer, which they now nerfed, so that's even worthless. And a couple other things that they just now updated, so the Necrochasm is now better, probably worthwhile to use, so on and so forth. But at the time, prior to 2.0, prior to Taken King, there wasn't anything that was really good in regards to the expansions that made the previous expansion worthwhile to replace. So they introduced, being able to re-level up things in the Dark Below from Xur. They introduced the Ascension process in House of Wolves to be able to upgrade your gear to, the new levels so that you could carry on with it. And I thought those were good ideas because, again, with the content that they provided us being so bad in relation to the previous content, it just wasn't worthwhile to go out and pursue those things because they weren't truly upgrades. So, the fact that that was in place and that was the standard is a reason that I didn't want to go into the Taken King. Because again, how much is truly there that's new, for one. The fact that they are taking some of the year one exotics but not others in is just another infuriating thing, because the year one exotics that they're leaving behind, such as the Galley, or more, the correct pronunciation, apparently Yallerhorn, whatever, that was nerfed as well. So what's the point of nerfing it if you're not carrying it over? Just doing all these little stupid changes, such as the previous, PvP metas, we just saw get nerfed. They're bringing up a past nerf. They're reverting a past nerf. So auto rifles and etc. were taken down quite a bit, and now they're being brought back up to kind of where they were before. Just stuff like that. It's like, if they can't make up their mind and they say that they want people to play how, feel free to play how you want, but yet they force us to play how they essentially want the game to be played, because they constantly come out with these changes with statistics of, X amount of people are using this, X amount of people are using this, so since the majority's using this and not this, we want to try to rebalance and reformulate the game to bring everything in line together. It's just infuriating and kind of stupid. I'm kind of tired of it. And then, like I said, with the business aspect, people who played since the beta last summer bought the original base game vanilla for $60, bought the season pass for $35, or bought the expansions individually for $40, because you only got a $5 discount if you bought the season pass. Now have to pay $40 for the Taken King, and not only that, they don't get any sort of incentive or rewards. This incentive and rewards that they get are in line and the exact same as people with new players. However, to a lesser extent, because people who've never bought the game before can buy the Taken King in all of year one for just $60. So something that the people who've, you know, believed in Bungie and Activision and believed in the product since its original inception will have to pay $135 or $140 rather than just the 60. So, and like I said, the new people pay 60 for all that. So essentially, are you telling me that you value Taken King at 40 and then all of year one with the 2 expansions at $20 now? So that's just, again, or are you saying Taken King's really 30 and all year one's 30? Because if all year ones were $20, then why in the world were we charged, you know, what we were to begin with? Just because it was new? That's kind of stupid, because again, the amount of content we got definitely wasn't worth the prices. So in order to make up for that, and with all the backlash, again, like I said, the pricing thing was a huge point for a lot of people. They said, oh, well, we're going to give you emblems and shaders and other crap. Well, that's just stupid. That stuff's pointless. Yeah, they've added stats to it now and whatever, but it's just all aesthetics. It doesn't really make you feel accomplished. Doesn't really, you know, make you feel like your money was and your time was well spent. I mean, at least in my opinion. Again, everybody's different. I accept that. But for me, it wasn't enough to just get a couple shaders, emblems, whatever. And I think it was only a set. It wasn't even multiple emblems, multiple shaders. It's just a shade emblem, you know, etc. all in one set looking the same. So again, who knows what even the base stats are. So that's just a big problem with me, is the fact that no matter, that's the other thing too, another incentive for new players is, okay, they get an item right away for buying the Taken King, you know, buying all that. They get an item that automatically vaults them to level 25 with a full set of level 25 gear and armor. Well, all of us from the past get that as well. However, the more likely than not, the people who have played the entire year one already have their 3 character slots occupied and all of them maxed out, etc. So it's kind of, again, a slap in the face, you know, a backhanded little whatever that, okay, yeah, delete a character, or, you know, you don't get to take advantage of it, or if you didn't somehow fill up your slots, okay, yeah, you get this. But again, it's not, in a sense, a reward for loyalty or a reward for playing year one, because, again, the brand new people get that same thing. So again, it's just so frustrating to me to see that there's more incentives for the new people to play, more incentives for the people who, you know, put the game down after the first month or two of last year and then came back. You know, they're getting more rewarded. You know, but the people who actually formulated this new 2.0 with a lot of their input, a lot of the statistics that Bungie and Activision were able to gather to put forth this new product within the Taken King. Granted, the Taken King was already worked on, probably already finished, you know, months ago, or maybe even, in my opinion, I guarantee you, like I said, based on some of the people's talks that I knew that had their hands on this game years ago, it was already finished before the game even released. So, but they just need to do final touches or whatever, obviously, because you see now there's a new voice actor for the ghost and etc. So I know that stuff obviously was different. You know, just the little things are different and whatnot, but the general grand scheme of the content is the same. And then some of these other variables of mechanics and quests and UI changes, stuff like that, or just a different build of the game that they didn't, you know, put forth at the time. So to see this new polished version, which a lot of the changes I agreed with, a lot of the changes were stuff I was voicing that needed to be put in the game, I'm happy with. Like, I love it. It's awesome to see stuff like that. However, someone like myself, who was a veteran to the game, isn't getting any sort of rewards or recognition from the company to even want to have any incentive to continue on. So again, I'm done getting screwed with their price points of false promises and under-delivering the content. I just don't trust them anymore. The trailers for the Taken King, the streams for the Taken King that they did for the reveals, all that stuff is awesome. I loved what they did. You know, they put forth a great work, a great effort. However, like I said, the underlying business practices and the underlying lack of rewards for people who've been around a while is what's mostly turned me away. The community for Destiny is great. Like, that's the thing I'm gonna miss the most is the people I've met, you know, the streamers I watch, the YouTubers that I kind of keep up with, whatever here and there, and interact with. Like, that stuff I'm gonna miss. Like, I'll probably still watch streams. I'm still gonna talk to people, but being able to actually play with them, or have, you know, my own personal experiences in the game to be able to share with them and bounce ideas off each other, like for new strats, or to give them advice, or to help some of their audience out with in regards to accomplishments. Like, that stuff, I'm gonna miss a lot of that stuff because this game really is more about the community. Like, they did a good job with that. Like, the community's so good. I haven't had really any bad experiences, like the LFG situation, you know, with lack of matchmaking and raids and not always having 6 friends on, stuff like that. Going to the LFG websites, the people that created that stuff, the people that put forth effort in regards to, you know, video stuff, of bringing community together, you know, doing little montages or parodies, stuff like that. Like, all the stuff that's came from this game because of creative people is awesome. And that's going to be the biggest thing that I miss, is being able to interact with those people, be a part of that, you know, driving force and stuff like that. This is going to suck. Being away from that in the sense of being involved and actually playing the game. But at the same time, like I said, I can't get myself to go forward with wasting money in regards to bad business practices and wasting the amount of time and effort of putting into this game when the content's just going to get stale within, you know, like I said, probably 2 weeks to a month and a half at the longest. Now, Taken King, granted, is a lot bigger than the previous 2 expansions, but I still just don't see it satisfying myself for, you know, up until the next expansion. So, granted, you know, like I said, I could be wrong, but I'm not a person that really enjoys the PvP in this game. You know, like I said, I came from Halo, I came from Gears of War, and as far as the competitive sense, obviously I played like GoldenEye and stuff like that growing up. And the multiplayer in those games is just more solid, more balanced, more, you know, linear. It just feels a lot better in comparison to this game. This game's PvP provides a lot of fun, gives you a lot of newness. So that, like I said, there's fun to be had. However, I can't sit down and enjoy it for, you know, the long haul. You know, I can't put hours a day into it. I can't put, you know, a lot of time into it to satisfy me, to carry me over to another expansion, because like like after Dark Below, after, you know, House of Wolves, essentially after you got your stuff done, you've accomplished everything, you've beaten the story, you've beaten the raids, you've beaten the Prison of Elders, you know, all the different variations of Prison of Elders and stuff like that. It's just, you're done. And like I said, the gear didn't take long to obtain, the levels didn't take long to obtain, so it just was, again, after that it was about either A, helping people, or B, trying to jump into PvP and play that, and essentially you're either helping people with that, or you yourself are just trying to, again, kill time within the game and try to make it extend longer to find fun in it, because the other stuff got stale. And to me, like I said, PvP just doesn't carry the torch long enough for me to, you know, bridge that gap between the PvE staleness of the, you know, new expansion release to the next expansion release, because it's such a wide gap. And so that's unfortunate, just because, like I said, this was my main game, so this is the game I put all the time into. So I understand there's other people who, you know, don't get to play it as much, or choose to play other games as well as this game, so it's going to last as long for them. But when you're making a game like this, you got to take into account, like, the hardcore player, like what's the most time someone's going to put in, you know, because there's always going to be those players who just focus on this particular game, and there are going to be those people who, you know, do have a lot more free time than others to pour into this game, just because, you know, maybe they're single, maybe they're not working, you know, because there's younger kids, they're in school, or, you know, maybe they're just unemployed in general, or maybe they own a business so they don't have to work as hard, you know, away from their house or whatever. So there's just all these variables that you got to take into account for the hardcore player. And if you can't satisfy the hardcore player, and that's not who your focus is on, then the trickle effect from that is even the casual player in themselves is going to be bored, and they're going to have a hunger for more content as well, because if you can't satisfy the hardcore player, then eventually the casual player is going to get to reach that same point of unsatisfaction and disdain. And that's just unfortunate, sense of this game is there's just a line that you get to, everybody gets to. Because some people, like I said, most casual people, there's some people that just have one character. I know a lot of my friends who just had one character throughout year one, and they just went away from the game because, they did everything. They didn't want to put a time into another character because they felt like they're just beating their head against the wall, doing the same thing over and over. And even though, yeah, granted, it's a different class, so you get different abilities, it's still the same experience, in their opinion. So, so someone like that in comparison to me, who has one of each class maxed out, all maxed out all the subclasses, as they're all 34s. It's like I said, we both still feel the same way given the same content. So that's it's just unfortunate that that's the case within this game, because this game has so much potential. It just feels so limited, because like I said, in regards to the beta to vanilla, they said 10 to 12% of the game is what you witness in the beta, but when they opened up the moon for those hours on the weekend, and then I got to vanilla, it was like I already saw half the game, half the landscape, because the only additions that we got to explore after the beta was 2 other planets. So we got to see Earth and the moon and the tower in the beta, and then after the beta in vanilla, we got to see Venus and Mars, and that's it. Like, those were the only 2 additions. So that is, 50% essentially of the patrollable areas that we saw in the beta. We only got an additional 50% for $60, come release time. And so that to me is just underperformance, a false promise, stuff like that. Yeah, the percentages were weighed towards the gear and towards, the weapons and such like that, but still, it's just so stupid to me. Thinking back on it, and then again, we had to go out and farm for hours, and that was their way of boosting their time, of people's time spent in the game, and boosting their statistics of people playing the game. And then when they got rid of that, it really died down, because a lot of people were just able to buy stuff and not have to worry about trying to run around and farm materials on the planets. Then Dark Below came out. There's a lot of issues with the raid, and then a lot of gripes with the upgrade system, because it's like, why should we have to spend a crap ton of our resources on stuff that we've already obtained and already leveled up, and why would we have to re-level up something we've already leveled up? And there's no, what's the point of doing it just to get a little bit of a higher damage base or a little bit more defense when we're just losing all our perks that we already have? Like, what's the good trade-off? And it's taken, another crap ton of time to level it up. And then House of Wolves comes out, and then the new gear essentially isn't any better. And yeah, you can upgrade your old gear, so now you can finally look different, because that was the biggest thing with vanilla and Crota, is the looks. A lot of people were just looking the same, because that was the only thing that could get you to max level, was having the same gear as everybody else, because it was only like the raid gear. Whereas House of Wolves, at least there's more variation, because you could upgrade anything from vendors and raids and Prison of Elders and all that to the new max level light cap. So the fact that they've done away with all that new light system for Taken King is refreshing, because now everything you do in regards to PvP and then the PvE, everything now goes towards your level, your XP level. And so it's not like you're just getting XP for no reason behind the scenes like you were in vanilla through House of Wolves. So that, like I said, there's good and there's bad, but the good that's there, I felt should have already been in the game. Again, based on what I've heard from people who are under NDAs prior, I felt like, again, I trust them, because these people have no reason to lie, especially at this point. And then just like I said, to see what I've witnessed personally of false promises, under delivery of content, with all this false hype and bravado, whatever, and just stupidness, I'm just stepping away from the game until, again, You know, because they already have the next 3 expansions lined up. Taken King's coming out obviously in a couple of days, and then the other 2 expansions after that are already locked in around the time that they're going to release. One's going to be what, December, January coming up, and the one after that's going to be around probably May, June area, maybe July, something like that again. And then you're going to have year 3 stuff. So to me, this content, this little bit of content in the Taken King that's coming out isn't worth me jumping at when I can get majority of it for free when the next expansion comes out, or if I wait for the 3rd expansion in the little series of year 2 to come out, I can get even free stuff from the first 2 and buy them all together in a bundle essentially for a heck of a lot cheaper than I would paying individually for them. Like if I wait, not only do I save money, but I get to experience a plethora of more content at once than I do as buying them individually and experience them individually. Like this game, like I said, isn't enticing enough for me to jump at now. It's more about the community, stepping away from it. Yeah, it sucks, but I can come back to it and it'll be just as awesome and still be involved in some minor way. So that's why I'm leaving. I'll probably be back at some point, but who knows? I wish Destiny the best. Thanks for watching. Later.
Yeah, guys, thanks for that.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for the run, fellas. Good stuff.